Hello there, my friends. This is Craig, and welcome to my channel, The Atheist Experiment. I spend a lot of time challenging the beliefs of others, and I thought it would be interesting if I shared some of my beliefs with you. Maybe you might be compelled to challenge me on any or all of them. I am not claiming that all my beliefs are justified or that I come to hold these beliefs through a rational process, and they do not change me, and they do change from time to time depending on what new information I am presented with. We all have beliefs, some warranted and some not so much. In recent years, I have begun to examine my epistemology, and I have come to realize that I have been flat out wrong about some of the things I believe. And so I have tried to change my views accordingly, if so, and as needed. I have not examined thoroughly all of my views, but I am working on it. Remember, I was taught at a very early age not to question things. Just believe what you are told. I took the teachings of the authority figures in my life as gospel and thought that was how it was supposed to be. It wasn't until I came out of religion that I realized I need to rethink a lot of shit. I'll give you an example of how religion stagnates the desire to learn more and ask hard questions and discover new ways of thinking about deep, difficult subjects. Religion claims to know all of the answers to the origins of the universe and how we are supposed to conduct ourselves within it. This languishes the drive to ask more questions or accept possibilities that go against the doctrine. Many people that we call old and wise still hang on to those old ideas and even go as far as to refuse new knowledge when it is presented. Here's a couple examples, as I promised. I vividly remember my dad telling me as a child that when a person gets shot by a bullet, it's the poison from the lead that the bullet is made from that kills you. Now, I understand that he may have learned this untrue fact early in his life. It got engraved on his brain, and then he handed this wisdom down to me. But then I heard him say the same thing a few months ago. And to put this into perspective for you, it's now almost 50 years later, and he hasn't updated his thoughts on this. Now, I believed what he told me for a long time, but eventually, with my exposure to the world around me, I soon came to realize that the poison from the bullet could not possibly act fast enough to kill a person so quickly. And now I know that there are a lot more factors that contribute to death when you get shot, and none of them have anything to do with lead poisoning. So it goes to show, as it seems to me, how religious thinking has primed my dad to believe the first thing he is taught and then never question it again. I mean, just the other night, he said that he believes wholeheartedly that alcohol kills all the germs in his body, and this is why he's still alive today. He has chosen to believe in something, and that's the end of the story. No need to look any further, no need to ask any more questions. So let's get started with a belief of mine that someone could challenge. Now, this first one is something that only someone who knows me could challenge me on, but here it is. I believe that I could be friends with almost anyone. Now, when I say this, I'm excluding radicals. Someone will surely say, "Oh yeah, could you be friends with Hitler? Gotcha." No, I'm talking about the average population of nice people to assholes. I really think I'm open-minded enough to be friends with almost anyone, even if we hold opposing viewpoints. So yes, if you disagree, drop me a line in the comments. Hell, if you don't disagree, you can still leave me a message. Here's another one. All people have good in them and evil doesn't exist. I know what you're thinking. No way, some people are just shitty and they're never going to change. Well, I was shitty when I was much younger. Well, I don't know if I was shitty, but I certainly had some shitty ideas. People change. People change. I changed. I lived my life looking for the good in everyone and giving everyone the benefit of the doubt. I know you probably know someone who you think is shitty, but stop and think really hard about that person. Do you know what has gone on in their lives to bring them to this point of shittiness? Maybe it's their defense mechanism to cover up for some terrible thing that they've had to deal with or are currently dealing with. Maybe they are just themselves victims of bad ideas. I don't know. Let me know what you think. And as far as evil goes, I think it is just a human construct, maybe even a product of the church. We often think of ourselves as being outside of nature, like we are some kind of special. But we are just as much a part of nature as anything else is. Does the mama zebra hold resentment against the lion that kills her baby zebra for food? Is the lion evil because it killed its prey and ate it? Is a human evil who does terrible things? Or are they just victims of bad ideas? Or are they malfunctioning in some way that can be treated? Where do you draw the line between responsibility and a malfunctioning brain? A brain that doesn't seem to fit into society. I don't know for sure, but maybe what we call evil isn't really evil at all. Here's another one. I believe that emotions should be given some consideration when making most decisions. We live in a society where making decisions based on emotions is considered foolish. I tend to agree to some degree, but I think it is healthy to check your feelings and include them in decision making. Sometimes your gut feeling can be telling you something that your logical brain cannot pick up on. There are proven social cues we can use to make adjustments and judgments about each other. These cues are subconsciously informing you something about the situation and helping you to make good decisions. It wouldn't be wise to ignore those feelings. I mean, use your intellect and your logic and reasoning, but don't ignore your feelings. That's all I'm saying. The next one is, science has only scraped the surface of what can be known about nature. The supernatural may be a real thing that science can't yet explain. Once it can be explained, it then becomes natural, not supernatural. The arrogance that some theists have when thinking the entire universe was made for us is the same arrogance that fuels their argument that science should know things that haven't been discovered yet. As if science is finished. They keep using the Big Bang and first cause and something from nothing. There is so much about these things that we just don't know yet. Saying Big Bang is just a theory and evolution is just a theory is evidence that you're not understanding what the word theory really means scientifically. We have learned a lot through science, but we have a long, long way to go. Science is not done. It would be arrogant to think so. Here's another one. Recycling programs have become redundant and useless and even counterproductive in society when it comes to making improvements regarding our environment. Let me explain. First of all, recycling programs in most municipalities have never even come close to keeping up to the demand. Averages from across Canada show that 86% of plastic recycling goes to the landfill. 4% is incinerated and 1% ends up as litter. This leaves only 9% of all plastic waste actually getting recycled. It seems that municipal governments invested 30 years ago in recycling plants, but then noticed that the public wasn't satisfied with that the public was satisfied with their efforts, so they stopped investing. Why did this happen? I think it is because during the 80s and 90s, when there was a big push for recycling, the general public got tired and complacent and didn't really care as much as they would have proclaimed. It's as if people think that as long as they are doing their part by sorting their recyclables in their kitchen into bins, that this will fix all the environmental problems, and now I can pat myself on the back for being a good steward of the earth. So because we think this way, it inhibits us from taking other actions to improve the environment, such as driving less, turning off all the lights and appliances that are not completely necessary, insulating your house better, put on a sweater instead of turning up the heat, use air conditioning wisely. There are so many things we could all be doing to decrease our carbon footprint, but we do very little else as long as we are using our blue boxes and it feels good. Next one. Religion is continuously being watered down and eventually it will become redundant on its own. This is tied to the God of the Gaps fallacy. If you're not familiar with the God of the Gaps, I'll give you a quick description. This is when science has failed to explain something and religion invokes God to explain the gap in the knowledge that science is unable to provide at the time. The problem with this petition is that every time someone has tried to do this, later on, science figures it out and you no longer need God to explain what was once unexplainable. This has happened hundreds and maybe even thousands of times as we learn more and more scientifically about the natural world. At one time, we couldn't explain the motions of the sun, the moon, and the planets. So it was common fact that God is in control of these things. And that was the descriptive process at the time. But then Isaac Newton comes along and boom! Gravity and motion explained. No need for God. Yet, even Sir Isaac Newton himself, a product of his time, cited God for certain planetary movements that he couldn't explain. Now, those details have been figured out by science as well. So if you keep inserting God into a place that science hasn't discovered yet, then the gap for God is an ever-shrinking space, making God less and less relevant. The other side of this belief is that in order for churches to maintain membership, they have to continuously concede what is written in the Bible to conform to modern ideas about what is moral and true. Take homosexuality, for example. At one time, not long ago, all churches viewed homosexuality as a sin, and it was an unacceptable practice. The Bible actually talks about killing homosexuals because they are abominations and go against God's wishes. In recent years, now, many churches have realized that there is a growing movement of acceptance of the LGBT community. And so they have softened their view and even welcomed the LGBT community into their fold. There are countless other examples of godly rules and commandments that the church has tempered their views on because they have to maintain membership in an ever-increasing enlightened society. And this will continue to propagate until religion is indistinguishable from secular culture. So here's the last one, and it's one that has weighed on my mind the most in the last year or so, and that is my faith in humanity. I admit, as positive as I am or try to be about the goodness of others, my faith that humans will eventually all come together for the common good has been shaken recently with this COVID-19 pandemic. Now, I use the word faith on purpose here because for me, the definition of faith is believing in something without good reason or sufficient evidence. I have no good reason to believe that humanity will eventually get to a state of cooperation and commonality for what is right and moral and ethical. But I do. Well, I did, until the world proved me wrong. Many American movies have a common theme. the world rises up to defeat a common enemy, and hugs and kisses at the end. Contagion, Independence Day, War of the Worlds, Mars attacks, etc., etc. The list is endless. Enter COVID-19. Okay, reality, it's our time to shine as a human race. Time to face the enemy, join hands, and crush this motherfucker. But what did we do? We divided even further. And millions have lost their lives, and countless others are left with the scars from a tragic loss of a dear, loved family member, which could have been prevented if we just had the humanity to pull together. On one side, you have science deniers, anti-maskers, and anti-vaxxers. On the other side, you have science, reason, and those that put their trust in the medical officials of their country. And on both sides of the fence, you have people throwing stones. You stupid anti-maskers, why don't you get a brain? You stupid science lovers, can't you see you're being fooled? It breaks me. Nobody's talking. No one is trying to understand the other side's point of view. No one wants to hear what the other side is saying. Discourse is dead. We all just want to throw stones at each other, and in the meantime, millions of people are getting sick and dying. And if you get sick and are lucky enough to live, you might have long-lasting effects or even lifelong lasting effects from this disease. What are we doing? Do you change minds by calling someone a stupid fuck? Do you reach people by grouping them into dehumanized others? Does tribalism do anyone any good in modern times? I have questions, and I have not yet found the answers. As much as I try not to, I have found myself doing the same thing from time to time. And I feel terrible about it after I realize what I've done. Will this be the destruction of the human race? The same tribalism that helped our species to survive on the Serengeti may now be the exact thing that ruins us. Is it innate within us? Are we destined to obliterate each other by means of a Twitter app? Or can we rise above? Can we do better? Can we become truly enlightened and not deceive ourselves into just thinking we are? My hope has been dimmed, but I still have hope. It's the only thing that keeps me striving forward. Although it has been lessened, I think I still have faith that the human race will continue to get better. We'll learn to understand each other, and good will come of it. I have to have faith. I like to think I am a Stoic, and one of the tenets of Stoicism is there is more suffering in worrying about the future than there is in what will actually happen. I choose to seize every day and have hope for the future, and I'll hang on to my hope and faith in humanity as I place it on the back burner, for now. I will engage with those that don't agree with my views. I will have conversations, and I will try to understand the other side. I will be friends with just about anyone, even if their beliefs don't align with mine 100%. Take care, my friends. Let me know what you think. And until next time, stay open. Hey there, my friends. If you enjoy my videos and you would like to see more, subscribe. And don't forget to scroll down and hit the little bell so you can get notifications. I will be putting out a video every Sunday evening, and if you like it, hit the like button. And if you don't like it, hit the dislike button. Also, leave a comment and let me know what you think. Catch you next time and have a great week.